Grace and peace. Welcome back to day number 2 of the 5 blind spots that sink leadership. If you're here today, that means that you're serious about leveling up your leadership, not just working hard, but leading smart. And this week, what we're doing here is we're pulling back the curtain on the patterns that silently drain us as leaders. Patterns that don't always announce themselves really loud or show up with any kind of bells or whistles, but they quietly erode our focus, our energy, and our growth. Today, we're diving into blind spot number 2, the boundary breakdown. Let's get into it. Leadership isn't just about how much you can handle. It's about how well you protect those things that matter the most. And one of the most dangerous habits of high capacity leaders is we can fall into isn't failing to work hard, but failing to set boundaries around our priority. Not boundaries around our calendar, not boundaries around our inbox, but boundaries around our mission. When you don't protect your leadership priorities, you're going to end up saying yes just to survive instead of saying no so that you can be successful. Over time, survival mode becomes the silent sabotage. So what we're teaching today is boundary breakdown and what it looks like and how it shows up. You're saying yes because it's easier to explain the no. How many of you been there? And you keep accepting more because you don't want to disappoint anybody. And so you pile on new tasks onto an already full plate without adjusting your priorities. And you're feeling guilty about protecting your time, so you overextend yourself. And it feels noble at first. It feels like, hey, I'm the pastor. This is what I'm supposed to do. You seem helpful. You will come off as being very committed as a leader, but eventually you're stretched too thin. You resent your schedule. You resent your purpose. You're acting to needs and not advancing the mission. So the key insights of what we have to do is understand that every yes isn't aligned with your purpose, is stealing your focus from what actually matters for you, your organization, your ministry, your family. The leadership shift is from being a pleaser to a protector. Your job as a leader isn't to say yes to every need and everybody's whim that comes by. It's to protect the mission, protect the vision, and to protect your ability to lead well. You can't lead well if you're all over the place. If you say yes to everything, you will eventually say no to the most important things in your life. You'll eventually say no to the very reason you were ever called to lead in the first place. High impact leaders understand, and they understand this very clearly. A clear no is healthier than a forced yes. I want to say that again. A clear no is healthier than a forced yes. In other words, a clear I can't do this versus okay, I'll try to fit it in. You've got to protect your boundaries so that you can protect your brilliance. So we got to begin to move to a place where we're rebuilding the boundaries. And how do we do that? Number one, you define the big 3 priorities in your life. What are the 3 outcomes that matter the most to my leadership right now? You've got to ask yourself, and you got to be clear on that. If that request doesn't move those priorities forward, then those are things that you're either going to say no to or you're going to delegate it to somebody else. Next, you've got to create a default response for new requests. Instead of automatically saying yes, train yourself to say, let me check where it will fit into my current priorities and I'll get back with you. And this keeps you strategic, not just reactionary. The next thing you got to do is you've got to build recovery space into your calendar. Protect blocks of time so that you can make sure that you have time for strategic thinking, for vision planning, for rest and renewal. If you do not, as a leader, guard time and take that time to reset. As a leader, you're going to become fatigued. You're going to find yourself in a place where you're not able to move forward. If you're not guarding time to think and rest, leadership fatigue will eventually find you. So here's the coaching prompt that I want you to reflect on this week. Where am I leaking leadership energy because I'm afraid to say no? Where am I leaking leadership energy because I'm afraid to say no? Mature leaders understand a strategic no today preserves a strong yes for tomorrow. If I keep saying yes to everything, there's going to be something that I really need to do that I'm not going to be able to, and I'm going to have to say no. So your challenge this week is to choose one commitment, one task, or one meeting that you need to decline, that you need to renege on. Say no clearly, respectfully, and without any guilt. Say no to protect your highest yes, which has to be to God. The boundary breakdown doesn't start with bad intentions. It starts with good leaders trying to do too much for too many people. But the truth is, if you don't set boundaries, your vision will bleed out one unnecessary yes at a time. You're not called to survive leadership. You're called to succeed in it. So you have to protect your priorities, protect your energy, and protect your leadership. You have to, because when you lead with clear boundaries, you don't just survive, you're going to thrive. Let's rebuild boundaries that build better leaders. Start now. This is Bishop Wilson. Until next time, God bless.